Hi guys, this is Hero, and today I'm going to be making more of a spontaneous video where I'm just kind of thinking out loud. For those of you guys who enjoy or don't enjoy those kind of videos, just giving you a heads up. So today I'm going to be talking more about the balance of action versus planning, right? So we have extremes when it comes to certain areas of our life in general, right? And what do I mean by this? I mean more energetic extremes, like being too overly masculine or too overly feminine, or attaching yourself too much to spirituality without having some sort of religious curiosity or guidance, or being too overly religious without having any sort of spiritual inclinations, stuff like this, or in other cultures, like being too yin without yang, or being too yang without yin. There's all kinds of extremes that would be spiritually healthier to have a balance of them, right? So action and planning is no different. Taking action without planning and planning without action are two very ungrounded extremes, and we want to find a balance within the two of action and planning, right? And this works in you can say all areas of our life to some extent, right? And I just described two extremes. Most of you guys who are watching this video, I would guess 90% of you fall in the second category, which is planning without action, right? Why do I say this? Because if you're most likely watching someone who's taking action without planning, most likely is not watching my videos on spiritual mindset improvement or overall self-improvement or mindset adjustment, right? Most likely they're going to fall in the second category, which is just planning. You want to think how to make my life better and all this, but you're not actually doing anything. And you might, but I'm just giving you this video just in case you aren't, okay? Or just reinstating the importance of taking some kind of action, okay? So I'm going to start with more the spiritual components of this video, and then I'm going to kind of move on into something a little bit more personal and discuss more of a broader range of how this topic can apply to everything in your life, okay? So when it comes to spirituality in general, right, we know that meditation is a huge part of our spiritual journey, right? Yoga, whatever. Now, a lot of the times we are looking for the perfect, absolute perfect, way to meditate, perfect this, perfect that, perfect sage to burn, perfect time of day, perfect time of the day, perfect this, perfect, mantras to chant, perfect this, perfect that. Okay, there is no such thing, and this is highly opinionated, but in my opinion, as a perfect routine. Okay, anybody in general, and this goes beyond just spiritual stuff, right? Not just perfect meditation or whatever, but anybody that's successful at anything, or that's operating something at a very high level, or better than you, is most likely not having the perfect best way to do something, okay? But this person had good planning and they had good action. That I can most likely tell you for sure, okay? If this person earned this, holistically and groundedly by themselves, okay? And I'll give you an example. Let's just say business, okay? Let's just say you're in the restaurant business and someone else is also in the restaurant business, but they have, a much bigger, nicer restaurant, possibly multiple locations. You guys get the gist. Let's just say you go and visit their restaurants, or you just study their restaurants, whatever, this competition you can say, or just, like a distant acquaintances restaurants in another city or something. And you have all kinds of opinions on how this person can run their restaurant, right? But at the end of the day, this person planned the way they did and acted the way they did to get the results that they had, okay? So if you have a different, style of thinking or level of planning, and you are not at that same level as them, okay, and I know that there's some other factors involved, right? Like karma and all this, but I'm just going to kind of, from a general standpoint, keep this to the side. And from a general basic standpoint, if this person is doing way better than you, and assuming you guys also started at the same time and all this kind of stuff, most likely, even though you have a different style of planning, their planning was just better, and you're going to have to admit that. Or let's just say you really are, really headstrong about your planning is so good about this restaurant thing. Somehow this person was action was a little bit better conducted than your action. Okay, so you're gonna have to see which place that in which aspect you're finding an imbalance in, right? Now, this is the point I'm trying to make. There's a balance between action and planning, okay? It's not just that, oh, this person is acting more or this person is planning more. It's, kind of like a dance you do, right? If you look at astrology, there's 12 signs, okay? And you could say like a very, very action sign is Aries, right? Which is the first sign. It's just doing, getting started. And then Sagittarius, which is kind of like the last fire sign, is like, learning from, the first two fire to water cycles and just learning what you have to do to, fulfill, do things at more of a higher karmic level, right? But then after, the cycle starts all over again, right? So action and planning, it's kind of like the cycle is kind of just continuing over and over, right? There's a constant balance. That's why Jupiter represents, planning in astrology, and Saturn represents action. But Saturn's both signs are both in between Jupiter, right? Because action and planning, they're kind of both intertwined within each other, okay? So that's just one thing I wanted to represent. Also, and so now getting back to the spirituality thing. So I kind of said with the business, the restaurants and stuff like that, how, action and planning are both very, very important, right? And actually, this is why you should never, not never, but you should take advice. If someone's giving you advice about something and they're not that successful themselves, you should take this advice with a very, very grain of salt, because they might be logically, so there might be some truth logically to what they're saying, but they haven't necessarily done it themselves to get to the level that you want to, right? There's some imbalance with their action and planning. And yeah, some stuff sounds good, but it doesn't work out in real life. And the only way you know that is if that true wisdom is only formed through cycles of action and planning, okay? Or planning and action. So that's really quick something I want to say. This is why I'm never going to make a video on something that I don't really know too much about or haven't conquered myself, right? So just throwing that out there. But now moving on to like spirituality, let's just say, right? A lot of people, when it comes to like meditation or something like that, they only want to do it. And the reason why, so remember at the beginning of the two videos, the beginning of this video, I mentioned the two extremes, right? Action without planning and planning without action. I said most of you are most likely in the planning without action category, right? And I'm going to get to the first category later, but the planning without action category, right? The reason why is because your mental is ungrounded, right? The reason why you don't want to perform action, and you're gonna kind of have to be aware and really honest with yourself of why you're not doing this, but most likely you're not acting because of some sort of fear, okay? Most likely, especially when it comes to like your spiritual goals, okay? Because most likely you don't really have too much to lose here, okay? When it comes to like attempting to meditate and stuff like this, okay? Your ego is just too subconsciously fearful to like evolve or something like this, whatever. You're gonna have to figure out what it is. But when it comes, this is why I kind of have 3 levels of like meditation, beginner, intermediate, and advanced, because I kind of want to give you 3 of the most common, I guess you can say, conventional barriers at different stages where your ego's having the hardest level of letting go and evolving to new, adjusting to new heights of spirituality, you can say, right? But let's just say you're at the beginning, you're not sure really if you're meditating properly and stuff like this. So you're kind of gonna wanna just have a set measure of, okay, I'm gonna absorb a certain amount of knowledge and plan this much, but at some point I'm just gonna try doing the thing, right? I can still remember the first time I meditated, right? It was like for 5 minutes in my room. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was like a kid, and I had nobody guidance, right? No one meditates in my whole family or friends, but and I was like, it was such like a big shock for me at that time that I had like no idea like what I was doing, and like I said, it was such a big shock that I didn't meditate again for months, right? But like I tried the thing, and that trying made me discover that, okay, when I try again, I'm gonna do it like this. And then when I did that, that cycle continued, planning, action, etc. Okay. But what I'm saying is you got to start somewhere. And like I said, when it comes to life in general, or anything in general, spiritual progress, whatever, it's constantly going to be like an upward spiral, right? So it's going to be, and it's not a perfect upward spiral, okay? It could go like whatever. It doesn't necessarily have to go straight up. It can go straight up, and then it can seem like it's really going down and then going up. But the point is that action is required after planning, okay? Or even sometimes before planning to get the planning going, or during the planning itself, okay? But you don't want to be too neurotic in your head all the time, okay? Because most likely it's out of some sort of fear, okay? Fear of failure, fear of whatever, right? When I started making these YouTube videos, okay, I had absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I still have no idea what I'm doing. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, I don't have like 1 million subscribers or anything, but you know, I have a few hundred, and a lot of you guys have emailed me and have taken a lot of, you know, I've impacted, and I hope, and I know, or some of you guys have told me, very positive ways. So even though I still don't know what I'm doing, and I didn't know what I'm doing, it hasn't even been a year, and I'm still like, you know, like because I did something, I affected, you know, something else, like I made a profound impact, right? So when it comes to like spirituality in general, okay, or anything in your life, business, relations, whatever, you got to try the thing before you can kind of plan some more, okay? Planning is important, but have a certain grounded level of planning and then act in a certain grounded manner, okay? Don't overly act just because sometimes you can overly act, like you could start acting and then you just want to act without planning, okay? And that's what I'm going to touch on to next really quickly. But just make sure you conduct some sort of action while planning so that you can keep going, okay? And you know, the I guess you can say the Jupiter-Saturn balance within you, you know, wisdom and action, grounded action keeps on flowing and improving in your life, okay? Now, action without wisdom is another sort of imbalance, but this is a different imbalance. So I just said the planning without action, it's more rooted out of fear. Action without planning, it's also rooted out of fear, but a very, 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 very different fear. And this fear is like a fear of listening to your mind, okay? What's happening is your mind is moving too fast. You just kind of want to do. And I'm speaking a little bit in general here, okay? There's obviously other very, very, very extremes, but because of the, you know, the dynamic of this video, and I don't know all of your guys' situations, I'm going to go going in general, but if you have any specific questions or comments, you guys can always let me know, right? But if you're overall in general, from a very general perspective, if you're acting too much without planning, you're more fearful of slowing down your mind and really listening to what your wisdom has to say, okay? Your ego is so in control that it can just get you to do very impulsive things, okay? So what you have to do there is just really stay grounded. And the way you can do that, I have many different grounding techniques on my channel, but like you can start with like the beginner's meditation, or you can like just breathe in general and just like breathe for 5 minutes and just see, okay, what am I, you know, what is my consciousness really trying to tell me, okay? Or you can ideally do this like while walking slowly in the grass, or just while sitting, you know, ideally like in front of like a picture of God or something like that, and just really learn on how to stay grounded, so that before you act or while you act, you're able to plan from, you know, rationally, or from a more grounded state of consciousness than you would have without acting, okay? Without planning, okay? So I think that kind of summarizes what I want to say in this video for all I had to say. If you have any questions or comments, you guys can let me know, and until next time, talk to you guys later. Thank you.